Hi everyone, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. I want to thank you for coming back to check out another video. This is one that I'm going to do that I hope is going to help you maximize your profits to your eBay store, increase revenues, continue to broaden your customer base, and just propel you to greater and greater success in your reselling endeavors and motivate you to get more and more listings up so you make more and more money. And the way I'm going to suggest doing that is through eBay's global shipping program, also known as GSP. You know, back in the day, there was no such thing as a global shipping program. I know because I started selling on eBay in 2000, and back then it was an auction-only site. There was no such thing as buy it now. There was no such thing as best offer. But you were able to ship things internationally if you wanted to, but it was all on your hands as the seller to kind of figure that out and work that out. And I did so. I opened up my base of customers internationally, but I realized very, very quickly that it was a giant pain in the neck. It took up too much time filling out all the customs forms, making sure everything was taped onto the box properly and declared properly. And as you know, time is money. It was just much easier to put my item in a box, get it shipped off priority or first class or medium mail, what have you, and just be done with it and move on to the next item. In addition, there also is a greater risk when you're selling something internationally that the item could break or get damaged in transit because, by definition, the longer it's going to go and the longer it's going to travel, the greater the chance it's going to get mishandled or something bad might happen along the way to cause some damage. The other thing is that not a lot of countries, or maybe I shouldn't say not a lot of countries, but there are countries that don't have as good of a tracking system for packages as the United States does. And so, there's that concern too. How could you really verify that your item is getting where it needs to get to? So for all these different reasons, it was just easier to sell things within the United States. Many sellers do that, and particularly new sellers, and many sellers who have been doing this for many, many, many years just don't do anything with regards to international shipping for the reasons that I mentioned. Now, eBay became aware of this problem many years ago, and they decided to create this global shipping program. Now, it's designed for two goals in mind. One is they obviously want to increase their own business revenues by increasing their own customer base so they have items being distributed out all across the globe. Now, they also, though, want to do that. They need their sellers to have incentive to do that. And they know that their sellers were disincentivized to do it. So what they basically did is they came up with a system that said, okay, here's what you have to do. If you sell your item, all you have to do is put it in a box or a package like you normally would do for any item that you're shipping to the United States. Just ship it to our warehouse in Kentucky. There's also another warehouse, but the main one that people ship to is in Kentucky. And we'll take it from there and we'll fill out the customs forms. We'll repack it for you. We'll get everything declared. We'll send it off. We'll take care of the tracking. And here's the best part. If anything happens in terms of that item getting lost or damaged or not received, we will completely take care of it for you. If you get a negative feedback for that reason, we will completely wipe that off. And that was another reason, by the way, that people were not doing these international deals before the global shipping program was around, is because they were at increased risk of getting negative feedback from buyers internationally who were dissatisfied with, for example, how long it might have taken a package to get to them, even though this was something that was completely out of the seller's hands at that point, and it more had to do with a problem with that country's postal delivery system. Italy, for example, is notorious for having a bad delivery system. So all those things were problems and were things that eBay tried to address through the global shipping program. So I was still kind of not really informed in terms of all the details about it, and still, when I resumed doing eBay again, about a year and a half ago and getting much more active with it, I was still strictly shipping within the United States. Now, over the summertime, a fellow reseller in Syracuse came up to me at a flea market, and he said to me, listen, he goes, I'm going to tell you something right now that is going to significantly increase the amount of money you're making on eBay. He goes, you're going to thank me for telling you this one day. And I said, what's that? He said, use eBay's global shipping program. And I looked at him and I said, why? Because I'm naturally a pretty skeptical person. And I said, why? Tell me why I should use that. And his logic was exactly what I just said, which is that it's easy. You just ship it to Kentucky. You ship it within the United States to eBay's location. They'll take care of it from there. If it gets lost, if it falls off a boat in the ocean, if it gets broken somewhere, eBay's got you completely covered. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to run the risk of the negative feedback. The other thing that he told me is that you would not believe how many people overseas are willing to just pay complete full price for your item, unlike people in the United States. And he gave me this example of a record that he sold to someone in Germany who was willing to just pay $800 for the record where no one in the United States was. There could be several reasons for that. It could be certain countries that are more better off economically, certain regions that are willing to pay more for items that are rare in that area that they can't otherwise get. You also have the situation of a lot of United States service members who are stationed overseas and don't have access to items that they really want to get. They have a hard time finding sellers who are willing to send them the item and sell them the item. So they're willing to just pay full price for it just so that they can get it. It's, considered like a big treat so they could get something like that. So there's different reasons why people will be willing to pay full price. But even after he told me that, I still didn't do it. And the reason why I didn't do it is because I did research online. I looked up eBay's global shipping program and I looked at reviews. And all I kept seeing over and over again was a lot of negativity. I mean, overwhelming negativity. Don't use eBay's global shipping program. It's too expensive for the buyer. It takes forever for the buyer to get their item. It's a scam. It's a fraud. All these types of things. And so honestly, those reviews really just kind of scared me away from doing it. And I just decided not to. But then I started to, follow the threads and different reselling groups on Facebook, and I started to see people who I thought knew what they were doing who were using eBay's global shipping program. And one of the main reasons that they were doing it is literally because there's really zero risk for you as the seller. Sure, a person could open up an item that is described claim, but beyond that, there really isn't any risk in terms of the damage, in terms of the time, in terms of items getting lost, in terms of you have feedback protection, all that kind of stuff. All those things that were big problems before, eBay's really kind of taking care of that. Now, there's a cost to that, okay? So to cover the sellers like that, eBay does charge the buyers a high amount of money to get the item sent over to them. I don't know what the exact fee structure is for it. However, I do know it's expensive, particularly for cheaper items. So for example, I remember somebody emailing me from Canada telling me eBay was going to charge around $20 to get, a little stack of comic books delivered to them. Now for bigger items, it might make a little more sense. But then again, there could be someone who really wants that particular lightweight item and doesn't care about paying the shipping cost and is willing to just pay it. So the way I started looking at it was, you know what, if someone is willing to pay that, they know what the rate is, then that's their choice. That's their decision as a buyer. That is not anything that I have anything to do with. In addition, eBay's rates that they charge for the global shipping program, that's eBay's issue. That's not my issue. So if the seller wants to take that, if the buyer wants to take that up with somebody, they gotta take that up with eBay, not me. I'm not the person who controls it. So ultimately, after talking to a bunch of people, other resellers, in different Facebook groups, I finally decided I'll give it a shot for the month of March and see what happens. If I have a bad experience with it, I said I would just step off and stop doing it. If I had a good experience, I'll continue to do it. And my experience in the month of March was pretty good. What I noticed was that it's not going to result in a huge amount of increased sales. And this seems to be the case for pretty much everybody who I've followed that does use the global shipping program, but it will increase your sales. But depending on how many items you have up, it will increase the number of sales that you make each month. Depends on the volume. Again, it could be just a few a month, or it could be a few a week, depending on how much you have up. I know Casey Paris, Rockstar Flipper, has like 2,000 items up at a time, and he says that he sells about 3 or so items through the global shipping program a week or something like that. Now, I don't have quite that many up at a time. I have anywhere between 120 and 140 items up at a time. And I can tell you for this month, I did wind up selling 3 items through the global shipping program, and all of them were purchased at Buy It Now. So one was a Funko Pop, one was a license plate that went to Australia. The Funko Pop went out full price to someone in England. And this one is one that I just sold last night. This is an Elvis Presley doll that is going out, sold for $42.50. This is all profit right here. It's part of a large collection of dolls that I purchased along with Masters of the Universe items. All the money has been made back from that collection, so anything from here is profit. But you obviously want to maximize your profits to, continue to motivate you and continue to help you have a successful business. And so the interesting thing about this doll is that earlier in the day yesterday, someone within the United States offered me $30 for it. Now, $30 as a best offer, I had it up for $42.50. I was willing to meet the person in the middle at $36.25, so I did send a counter offer for $36.25. Now, a person didn't respond, whether that was because they didn't get to the email yet or they just decided they didn't want to take it for $36.25. I'm not sure. But what I do know is overnight, someone from England came in and just bought it full price for $42.50. So, basically, what that person in the flea market told me seemed to ring true, that there are people from overseas who are just willing to just snag the item at full price, just buy it, and there you go. So all I've got to do, I've got to just pack this up as I normally would. I'm going to put it in a box, going to bubble wrap it, protect it. It's going to go off to Earlinger, Kentucky, and then they're going to take it from there. They're going to process it. They're going to get it out to the person. They deal with the they deal with the buyer, and the buyer deals with with eBay in terms of figuring out how they're going to pay for getting the item out to them. You don't have to worry about that. You do not have to fill out any customs forms. None of that. You don't have to worry about valuing the items inside or anything like that. When you send the item, eBay will just ask you online to just say how many items are in the box, and that's pretty much it. Even putting the value on it is like an optional thing. You don't have to do that. So that's it. It's really that simple. Now, they do give you tracking. You have tracking for whether or not it gets to the center in Kentucky, eBay's distribution network, for then processing it and sending it out overseas. So you'll know when it gets there. And then they will let you know when the item has left that facility. They'll send you an email. And then they will send you an email when the item has actually been delivered to the location overseas. Now, I told you there were 2 previous items. One was sent to England and one was sent to Australia. The one that went to England took about 13 days. The one that went to Australia took 14 days to get there. So it seems like, if it's taking from, New York to Australia, 14 days, that's probably, New York to England is 13 days. So approximately it seems like around 2 weeks you could expect from the time it leaves you, gets over to Kentucky, and gets to its destination point, about 2 weeks. That's really not that terrible. I believe that there were some, pretty bad stories in the past of items maybe taking months and months to get to people and things like that, and probably was pretty disorganized when eBay first started it up. I don't know, I wasn't using it then, but people had some pretty significant bad stories about it if you go online and read the reviews. But this is my experience this month, the month of March. If my experience changes on it in April or May or something like that, I will let you know and I'll update it. But for this month only, and I realize it's just a small snapshot in time, but it looks like for people who are on the fence about maybe should I use the global shipping program or not, I think you should give it a shot. Just give it a 1-month trial and see how it works for you. If you don't like it, leave me a note down below in the comments section. If you did like it and tried it based on watching this video and it was helpful for you, let me know that as well. I'd love to hear your feedback, and if you have any questions about how it works, let me know that too. If I haven't answered or addressed a particular question that maybe you have about it, I'll be happy to check that and answer it. I check the comments frequently, and if there's anything there, I'll be happy again to respond to it. With that, I'm gonna get ready and pack this item up. So if you like this video and think that it's helpful, please make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm 12 people away from getting to 100 subscribers, so please help me get there if you like the video. The other thing I just want to put another plug in for is make sure you check the description section down below. Look down there. You're going to see that there's a link to the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. That's the Facebook group that I run about all things related to reselling. Come on by, check us out, make a join request, and if everything looks okay with your profile, I'll let you right in, and I look forward to having you as part of the group. With that, I got to get this package ready and get it out because it's got to get to England. Take care, everyone. See you later.